afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Dawn LeBeau. I'm a Senior Program Officer with Akiptan. We are a Native Community Development Financial Institution located on the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe in Eagle Butte, South Dakota. And I am here with Craig Harry, who is our Program Officer, as well as Justine Kugel, who is also one of our other Program Officers. And we're happy to be here with you all today to talk about implementing climate smart practices. I'll just go through a few things about Akiptan. We will be recording the webinar today. It's available on our website for folks to watch when they have some time. And our mission is to transform Native agriculture and food economies by delivering creative capital, leading paradigm changes, and enhancing producer prosperity across Indian country. Akiptan is the Lakota word for working together in a cooperative effort, and this is reflective in our lending philosophy. CDFIs are like banks in the sense that we provide loans, but you cannot deposit money. We are different than banks because we also provide the technical assistance with our loans, and this comes in the forms of business and goal planning, succession planning, financial literacy training, and etc. Anything that our producers need to be successful in their operation. So while there are laws that we have to follow, we are unregulated, and this is what allows us to be flexible and innovative in our lending. Goes along with our lending philosophy, which is long-term, patient, innovative capital. So we always work with our producers to find a solution with them rather than for them. We genuinely look at our clients as partners, and we value our relationships with them. Since our inception of 2019, we have reached 28 tribal nations. We have committed loan capital in the amount of 27 million, and we have had 399 loans to this date. So a few of our products and services include our loan products, which are all designed to increase agriculture economy in Indian country. They include our youth loan, our general loan, an operating loan and line of credit, land mortgage, and down payment assistance. And as I noted before, that comes with our TA, and that is our business and goal planning, succession planning, marketing assistance, and financial literacy training. To be eligible for our services, you must be involved in the native agriculture field. So this is anything on the food chain from initial production to retail, and can include the eligible activities like farming, ranching, fishing, timber, and retail. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the topic today, which is implementing climate smart practices on your agriculture operation. So we're just going to do some an engagement style webinar today and kind of get a little bit of your feedback, utilizing the chat a lot. So if you all could utilize the either the Q&A option or the chat option, whichever you feel most comfortable with. We'll be monitoring both of those chats. So we have a couple questions. We also have some links to resources, and then we'll be talking about Akiptan's program that we are developing and kind of working through right now. And that's why Craig is on today to talk about our programming. So when we think about climate smart practices, we found this source here. It's also called TEK, which is traditional ecological knowledge. And simply put, it's what our ancestors have done since time immemorial, right? The land will take care of you if you take care of the land, and all of the practices that we do in farming and ranching were passed down to us from our ancestors and folks that were continuously working in the food economy. So we pulled this clip here from nps.gov, and the definition is saying that TEK is the ongoing accumulation of knowledge, practice, and belief about relationships between living beings in a specific ecosystem that is acquired by Indigenous people over hundreds or thousands of years through direct contact with the environment, handed down through generations and used for life-sustaining ways. So this knowledge includes relationships between people, plants, animals, landscape, events, different calendar practices, and it definitely includes agriculture and forestry and so on. So we wanted to name that part and then also move into more of the modern style practices. You know, we have a lot of new technology and equipment to utilize in these spaces. And that can include all of these modern climate smart practices listed here. And this is not all of them, right? There's a lot more that we can talk about, but soil health is one of them, and that includes conservation cover, crop rotation, residue and tillage management or no-till, residue and tillage management or reduced till, any style of nutrient management, livestock grazing and pasture management practices, restoration of lands, water practices, solar, wind, and pasture and hanging planting. So we'll talk a little bit more about that here in the next coming slides. The first question that we would like to engage with you all on is, what are some ways that you are currently implementing these practices on your lands? And if you could just utilize the chat and just type in any one of the practices that you may be currently implementing on your lands. And right now in the chat, rotational grazing. So that's a common one, right? Thank you for adding that in there. Craig, do you want to speak to any of these?
Yeah. We're implementing no-till on our lands and pastures right now. And I think that's going to work out very good for us because there's already a beautifully laid carpet of grass, and I'd hate to see it all tore up into dirt. So I think the no-till is going to work just right for us. But
Nice, thank you. Other things that folks are putting in the chat are cover crops, crop rotation, and no-till. It's really good to hear all of those different practices that are being implemented. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and move along here. The next question is, what resources are available? What do you know of that is currently offered to you now? There's a lot of different programming. I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat the link to some of the NRCS conservation basics. That way you'll have access to this. We will be following up with an email to everybody that is participating today with links of different resources that we're knowledgeable about, but maybe there's some that you all utilize right now or have access to that you'd like to share. I know Equip, oh, it just went in the chat twice. Yep, NRCS Equip as well for our South pasture. Justine, do you want to talk just a little bit about the Equip program?
Yeah, I can. So we are accessing Equip right now through NRCS. We are in a county that doesn't have an abundance of water. No, I shouldn't say the county, but where we're at in the county doesn't have an abundance of water. And so we are going through Equip to try and attempt to put a well in, and fingers crossed we will hit water. And then with Equip, they basically will do a cost share on it. Without that cost share, we wouldn't be able to afford to put a well in because they're so darn expensive right now. But at the same point in time, it is a good opportunity for us to not be hauling water daily. So definitely check out that opportunity in your local NRCS offices.
Thanks, Justine. So I went ahead and put the link in there of how to get in touch with some of those folks in your region. So go ahead and take a look at that. So let's go ahead and continue to move along here. So a lot of the things that we talk about when we're doing these is what makes sense in your region, in your area. What are the steps in achieving them? And what are the different ways to fund these projects? So we're going to go ahead and be thinking about these 3 questions as we move into the next section. Craig's going to be talking about our Climate Smart Commodities program. And I'm going to go ahead and put these 3 questions in the chat so that y'all can be thinking of them as we move through each of the 8 practices that Craig is going to talk about. So again, what practices make sense in your area, in your region, with your weather? What are the steps to achieving them? We'll talk a little bit about all of these pieces and what are the different ways to fund these projects. All right. So this is our Climate Smart Commodities program, and I'll go ahead and pass it over to you, Craig.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. As Dawn said, my name is Craig Harry. I'm with the program officer for the Climate Smart Commodities program with Akiptan. It's a newly formed program that we're working through and getting ready to offer for producers. It's a partnership with Field to Market and Indian Tribal Agriculture Council for Climate Smart Commodities. Akiptan will offer climate smart loans that are designed to allow producers to build their balance sheet and increase their cash flow sheet, all while implementing climate smart practices. In addition to direct financing, producers will also receive technical assistance with their loan. The Intertribal Ag Council will also use funds from the grant to provide nationwide education, outreach, marketing, technical assistance to support the model. So within all of that being said, we are offering a loan to help producers implement some of these climate smart practices, and in return, putting their crop into market utilizing climate smart commodities. IAC, we're partnered with IAC to help do technical assistance on some of the reporting tools that we're using and outreach, also education. So I just like to put that there. And then the overall program is designed to allow the producer the opportunity to implement these conservation practices and overall increase the producer's cash to build their balance sheet and increase their cash flow. So next slide. We started with some producer surveys beginning of the summer. We got them out in June. They were gathered and conversations began with producers on the practices and reporting standards, reporting tools. Also kind of to gather data on to see how comfortable producers were with reporting tools and if they had utilized them before, and just kind of see where our producers are at in native country with that. Producer loan applications we'll start accepting here really soon. We're waiting for a couple clarification questions from USDA that will fit native country, that we're just making sure we're double checking we're ready to serve the producers the way they need to be in this. So once we receive those final questions, we will start accepting applications, and that should be really soon. So any kind of questions on the application process, just we'll put my info in the chat, and just feel free to contact me at any time, any kind of questions that you have or concerns about anything. I'll be available to answer any of those questions, and please fill out the survey. Just to touch base, one more thing on the survey that also helps us gather is kind of if you have worked with any of the questions that we have asked. Have you worked with any of the NRCS programs? Have you signed up with FSA? Does your land have farm tract ID numbers to utilize that, and have those tracts also been or in the past have had an NRCS contract or USDA contract on that tract land also.
And I went ahead and put the survey in the chat, everybody. If you don't do it now, that's completely fine. We'll follow up with the email. You'll have a chance to scan the QR code at the end of the presentation here. And this survey has been out since about July. And we'll continue to take information through the next couple months, right, Craig? Or just through the
Yes.
longevity of the program, just to continue to hear from folks?
Yes, through the longevity of the program, we'll continue to get the survey in, because one thing the survey helps us with is the intake. And like I said, already kind of looking at those eligibility steps for the producer into the program. So it's giving Akiptan an idea if you've already dealt with FSA, if you kind of had those experiences already, or like I said, one of the main eligibility requirements for this program is having a farm number, FSA farm number, which would be your home place, and then whatever tract of land you're utilizing, having that signed up and having a farm tract ID number. And that is going to be the main requirement with this program. And also it not being, well, if it's already enrolled in a program, it obviously has a farm tract ID, or if you had used a program on it in the previous years, it already has a farm tract ID. We just have to gather that from your local county FSA. So that survey really helps us to begin our conversations with producers as we step into the program, and really find what the producers' interests are, so we could lean towards helping them directly where they want to go with the program.
Yep, and I see the comments in the chat. I'm sorry, guys. I have my settings on the wrong settings, but I put it to everyone, so I hope everybody can see it now. And then Justine put it back in there. I'm also going to put in those guiding questions, things to think about. I put that in there, and then Craig's email is now in there too. Okay, so with that said, I think we'll go ahead and move through what some of the practices are and what the loan activities are going to be. And there's going to be some reporting requirements, and I'll let Craig.
Yes. So we're going through 8 practices. Conservation cover, we covered them some way before. In this slide, it'll have the practice on the left. The loan activity in the middle is what you could utilize your loan for, putting in that project. And then the MMRV matrix details are the reporting requirements. So the program, like we were talking about, is a 0% interest-free loan program. It's a loan though. So in order for it to be forgivable, the producer would need to meet these reporting requirements. And these reporting requirements are very simple. I'm a producer myself, so when we were building this out, we wanted to make sure that the reporting requirements weren't overburdensome for the producer, that didn't want to add extra headaches to folks' already hectic schedules and everything. And so we picked out the most simplest reporting requirements for a producer to get their loan activity forgiven at the same time. So each one, some of them look very similar. There would be maybe like 1 or 2 different pieces of reporting aspects that may differ in the practices, and the other ones will look very similar. So you'll just, as we go along, if you're interested in some of this, that's the stuff that I would work through with you, making sure that we knew exactly what's needed from you as reporting requirements, and what changes, what don't change. So like conservation cover, and along with hay planting, crop rotation, the loan activity is somewhat the same. So like you could purchase your seed for that, or rent or purchase a no-till drill to implement that practice. Pay for your trucking to get that seed to your place, or pay for that equipment to get to your place. Custom hire planting, if you don't have the tractor, you don't want to buy the no-till, and you want to have somebody farm it for you, do your planting, you're able to utilize that loan to pay that custom planter. If we go to the next one, please. And then we'll kind of go through them. Conservation, crop rotation, 328, same kind of stuff. That's very much similar reporting details. Like I said, there's going to be 1 or 2 aspects that'll be different, but Not very much difference. Next slide, please. The 329 residue and tillage management, they just about leave the exact same as some of that. So, next slide, please.
There's one question about the survey, if you don't mind me asking it now.
Yes, please.
If not a producer, are you still wanting them to take the survey? They transport livestock and horses, and they would like to know.
Sure. I mean, if you want to fill it out and you're looking towards some of this aspects, please do. You know, if it's open to everybody, and it helps us gain knowledge from our native producers on every aspect that's thought of. So
Thank you. Next slide, right?
yes, please.
Okay, there you go.
345 tillage management, reduced till, also the same reporting aspects, purchasing a low till drill, purchasing seed, renting, purchasing no till drill, delivery trucking also. Next slide, please. One of the ones I really want to touch base on that I've been getting a lot of questions are, this one's 340 cover crop, same aspects. Next slide, please. Is the 528 prescribed grazing here. Now there's a lot of practices in here that a producer could utilize in here, and such as buying the cross fencing materials, implementing cross fencing, being able to hire a crew to come help you put in your fence if you're going to do it yourself, or custom hire a fencing place, equipment rental to, maybe a post pounder, or purchasing a post pounder to implement all your cross fencing, contracting services, virtual grazing equipment if you're wanting to look at trying to implement virtual fencing for your rotational grazing, if you're wanting to look at some of that, drilling well and trenching. So if you're going to implement a bunch of cross fencing, obviously you're going to need more watering systems. So you're able to you're able to bundle a lot of these practices together. Irrigation infrastructure, building dams, purchasing cattle's a supporting practice. We put it in there because you can utilize the funding to purchase cattle, but you need to have a main practice for that purchasing cattle. So as a supporting, so like say you're going to implement a bunch of cross fencing, now you need to up your cattle numbers to fill those AUMs and properly graze that system that you just implemented. That would be a supporting practice. So maybe you need to buy 20 more head of cattle to make sure that you're utilizing all of that properly. So very important to realize that the purchasing cattle is a supporting practice, and you need to look at implementing a main practice to get that. Another one we put in there is hiring consulting for NEPA. Your TIPO. Now on your deeded grounds, you probably won't need a NEPA, but any tribal lands that you'll be utilizing, being this is federal dollars and we're on federal lands, you're going to have a NEPA, and that's usually a process that'll slow up producers on implementing practices. So that's one of the things that we wanted to make easier for producers, is being able to hire a third-party consultant to come in and do your NEPA and get your project rolling and implement it, and you're not waiting in line to get somebody out of here to do that. So I feel that's a big one to make sure you bundle in your loan when you're looking at this to get your ground implemented. The reporting details, they're pretty basic and simple, and all of our reporting requirements are only going to be a year long. So it's going to go from the date you close on your loan and to that year to date, and then to so if you're doing a crop rotation, it'll be till you terminate that crop, whether it be spraying, grazing, cutting hay and baling, or harvesting your crop in whichever way you harvest it. So all these reporting details would be a year into your your loan. So, next slide, please. The 512 pasture and hay planting, you'll require CPA 52. Also in that, you're able to purchase no-till to get pasture or range units planted, or you're hiring custom planting. Also, big thing again is for the consulting side of it, get that CPA 52 done, and your project ready to roll. You're able to find your own third-party verification there. One thing to mention, as long as it is, they are approved by like NRCS, and we have a list, or NRCS will have a kind of a list that goes along with approved third parties verifications on some of those. So, and then our last practice would be 590 nutrient management. Looking at different sprays, you could purchase the nutrient, the applicator, custom hire to have somebody come spray your fields. Same with the manure compost spreader. You could purchase a manure compost spreader, or you could hire somebody to come do that, purchase your compost. Reporting requirements, very simple on those activities. And like I said, when you look at some of these and you have questions popping up in your head about certain areas, just feel free to contact me at any time. It's a lot, it's a lot, it's a lot better if we have these conversations, and then as you're looking into them, then we could go through your application together in that process and make sure that it's really, like one of the questions, it's really going to fit your operation. It's really going to support and boost your sheets and your production line. So here's a survey for the QR code. Once you click on that and you scan that survey, and you finish it, it'll submit directly to me, to myself, and I will reach out to you right when I get that survey in. I'll contact you through email and ask if there's a time that we could meet and have a conversation about any of the practices. So if you would like to take that survey, and then we could start conversation from there. Like I said, once you submit it, I'll directly email you and start conversations on there. So, do we have any questions before we go through these next steps?
Craig, I have one.
Yes.
On the CPA 52, we can just contact the local NRCS office and get like a list from them of who can complete that. Is that correct?
Yes, you could. So, and these practices, they're directly out of NRCS's workbook and the USDA's data dictionary. So, as we are utilizing USDA and NRCS's practices, it's basically the same program as EQIP, except it's not the cost share. We're giving you the chance to apply for the loan to cover the whole cost of your program, unlike the cost share where you need to upfront your cost all the way and then reimburse. This is the opportunity for our producers to be able to get the capital they need to implement the practice, implement it, and boost their operation. So that's where it's a very unique deal. So as we are similar, we're the exact same practices as NRCS. NRCS won't have the involvement, but I encourage you to utilize the NRCS technical assistance that is also provided. And like Justine is saying, if there's any questions about those practices, we usually have pretty good NRCS offices next to our reservations, or IEC should have a great relationship with your local NRCS, and also looking at that as another tool, TA tool. So just contact them for any of the approved third-party consultant list, or you could contact me and I will get that for you also. So I guess we'll go on to the next steps. Like I said, if you could complete the survey, reach out to us with any questions, Craig@akiptan.org or info@akiptan.org. One of the big things and the big factors, like I said, is contacting your local FSA, making sure that you have your FSA farm number, which would be your home place, and then any of your leases or deeded ground would have the farm track ID numbers. That is going to be the very first, the very first, the very, the very first step to enrolling in the program. The loan application could be found at info.acten.org. It's the loan application is the regular app for Akiptan. Start getting that ready. Start looking at your projects, putting together a list of your material costs, what maybe equipment cost, anything that's going to go into that project. One thing that I didn't hit on is the loan amount. So the loan amount could be anywhere from 0 to $250,000 would be the max on the loan. And like I said, it's a 0% forgivable loan when reporting requirements are met. Now, say for instance, reporting requirements aren't met, the stakeholder would then start repayment of the loan at the end of the contract, the year, and it would still be at 0% interest, but you would start repayment of the loan. But I am very confident that the reporting standards we built out are so simple that every producer should be able to knock it out of the park and get your loan forgiven. And that's what we're here to do, is to also help you through those steps and work through that. Another thing to touch base on, one of the tools that we'll be using for our program is called Comet Farm. And I'll put it in the chat here. NRCS uses it already. If you've gone through the equip process, that would be some of the tools that NRCS uses to gather data on the greenhouse gases and emissions and water usage and other steps like that. So this is the tool that we'll be using to do the reporting and meet the reporting standards. And it's a very simple tool. There's a lot of it, but it's very simple. It's basically they ask the questions and you fill in the answers on it. And we would be updating that Comet Farm program every month with the producer, and we would go through that personally with you and make sure that we're hitting all the requirements and getting you forgiven. So next slide, please. Would we have any questions also? Like we said, we wanted to make this a Q&A and kind of involvement from the stakeholders or the producers to make sure that we're answering questions while we're here on this and getting those out of there.
I put the link to the comment form in there as well. And I don't see any questions in the Q&A, but let me double check here.
The one thing I was going to ask about, Craig, or have you talk a little bit on, is if there's any minimums or maximums for people.
Yes, the maximum loan amount would be $250,000. If you are a current Akiptan loan holder, you have up to 100,000 past the max to be able to implement the practice. So it'd be 350K if you are a current. Now, if you're not a current Akiptan client, you would have up to 250K. Now, that doesn't mean you need to max out. Maybe you have a project, maybe you're just going to do hay planting and you have a 40-acre field. It's a $3,000 loan or $4,000 loan to get that done. That's perfect too, so no matter what the size of your project is, and you're just wanting to look at implementing cleaner and more climate friendly practices, just contact and see what's available. So no project's too small. And I guess if you're at the 250, that's a big project, and that's awesome also. So, but that would be the max is 250,000 for a newer producer. And if you're current Act 10, you would have 100,000 added to your 250.
So to simplify that, Craig, I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig. So say we're a current Akiptan client, we have 200,000 currently that we owe, and because of this program, we're granted another 100,000 on top of that. So that means we could basically have $150,000 project. Is that correct?
Yes, that's very correct.
Just so people have an understanding
Yep.
of how that.
No, thank you for that,
simplifies out.
Justin. Yeah, thank you.
I don't see any questions in the chat, Greg, just so you know.
Okay, yeah, just add one more thing and touch back bases. Look at your projects, get them ready, look at the equipment, have an idea of where you're going to purchase your equipment from, the cost of it, somewhat the material, trucking, kind of look at every aspect that's going to take you to get that project completed and implemented, and start getting your applications ready. Like I said, we're waiting on just a couple questions to be answered by USDA, and we will have the hope to have it open here ASAP. So just be ready and get your projects, get your minds rolling on the projects and what you want to do. So
Thank you, Craig. Craig's been working on this for quite a bit now. He's been on the phone talking with producers over the last couple of months and been in a couple of communities. So we'd really appreciate hearing from everybody. If there's any questions that you might have and they're very specific, Craig is more than happy to jump on a phone call if you prefer that route over just doing an email or doing the survey. Yeah, we want to hear from you guys. This is a pilot program. We're working out the kinks right now. And building it out. And so it's really important that we do this in a partnership-based style. So thank you all so much. Oh, I see a question in there. Would a no fence system for cross fencing be eligible?
would you be looking at doing virtual fence, or can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit? How that would, I'm trying to picture it in my head without doing the cross fencing and using virtual fencing. Or
Heidi, I just took you off mute.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we were looking into different options for cross fencing. We're in the Badlands in South Dakota, and we have a lot of like cliffs and ravines, and we've been on this property since November, and have been doing rotational grazing. On our previous property, we had a lot of just grass and rolling hills, a lot of flat. So now that we've moved to this new property, we're looking at different options for cross fencing and continuing on with our rotational grazing. We came across the no fence system, which seems like it could potentially save us a lot of headaches from trying to fence down cliffs.
definitely.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. We could look into the virtual fencing option, and you could utilize that loan to purchase like your tower, and your collars for using that system. So anything that is needed to implement that practice on virtual fencing, the loan can be utilized for.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
So yeah, and I know that like the towers are like one of the biggest dilemmas on purchasing that system, and so are the collars. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
cheap,
Yeah.
but I know that's one of the biggest hurdles that producers face. So that's one that we're hoping could be taken advantage of utilizing this loan, is getting producers on that foot to
Yeah.
use that.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you see the other question, Craig.
Yeah, I'm just reading it here.
Okay.
I wonder if you could speak on any projects tribal ag programs are looking into for drought or flood mitigation for this funding. Any tribal ag programs for drought or flooding mitigation for this program? Funding, one of the resources I would look for is talking to your local conservation office and seeing what kind of funding they have for drought and flood mitigation, looking at like fencing or resource concerns. Also, along with NRCS, if we have um, resource concerns like erosion from the flooding, different areas like that on your pasture, and you ended up getting a bunch of erosion or topsoil flooded off of your fields. There's projects there's programs through NRCS and also with your local conservation offices that will help with that. Now, looking at into these climate smart practices that we're promoting here, these implementing these will also help you become help with that mitigation for your flood and your drought. Looking at cover crops and making your field more drought resilient, making your soil a little bit better. So I think this funding pool, it hits right into the drought and flood mitigation, also in protecting your resource concerns. Does that answer your question, Christina? Let me
Christina, feel free to come off mute if you'd like to. She said yes. Thank you. Perfect.
Thank you, Christina. Great questions. So yeah, so there's our next steps. And like I said, just reach out, contact, and love to have a conversation with you. So
You want to put your phone number in there too, Craig? I know you're
yes,
comfortable with that.
yes, I will.
Okay. A lot of times it's easier just to pick up the phone and have a conversation. So
Greg likes to be called when he's haying and in the field. And no.
Yeah, I really like the call better. Yeah, I can multitask and talk at the same time. So like I really like conversating and getting to know the producers also. So it helps
Well,
out a
I
lot.
do have to say this about you, Craig. You know what? It is an absolute wonderful thing that you came on board to help with this program. You guys having a producer who's in the nitty-gritty and being able to help design a program like this for producers is just a really huge step in the right direction for all of us. So we just really want to thank you for all your work on this and making it come to fruition.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated.
all right. If there's no other questions, we'll move through the tail end of our webinar here. We give out some information about what we have going on in the back end with programs. And I'll go through a couple of things. And if you've been on our webinars before, you've seen this information. So in 2022, we did our market study. These are some of our findings. So it's not all of them. It's a quite large document. It's on our website. You're welcome to look it up. It's right there in the top tab. But some of our findings included the 43 billion of unmet need for Native American producers. I won't go through all the solutions just for time's sake, but we've been working on the back end to meet some of these findings with solutions in many different areas, whether that be lending, partnering, education, and knowledge. The other one here is most producers want to grow their operation either in volume or diversification. 43% of producers are wanting more knowledge on land issues. 75% have off-farm income. 51% of Native producers that participated expressed a need for additional training and TA related to sustainability, climate change, and conservation planning. And today's webinar is one of the solutions to that finding. Advocacy on the Hill, and 48% felt like the overall loan application process was across the board, could be improved. So that not only included CDFIs, but the FSA, banks, etc. And then only 27% of participants have a succession plan. So if you look on our website, we have some tools for succession planning efforts. Those are available either on a download, or you can fill it out in a fillable form online to get those efforts ready to go. All right, so our partnerships include the North Central USDA Regional Food Business Center. So this partnership is similar to the Intertribal Agriculture Council National Intertribal Food Business Center. So both of these programs are created to help new value chain connections. So you can apply for a certain amount of money. The North Central one is specific to Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So if you're doing any value chain style of food systems, they opened theirs up earlier this year and it's closed for the year, but you could have applied for up to $50,000 in that one. Coming up next is the Intertribal Ag Council Intertribal Food Business Center. Things are still being worked out with this one. They are doing a survey right now. So if you have any feedback for that one, their survey is available on their website. I will also share that survey out in the follow-up email. So keep an eye out for both of these programs. They'll be running for the next four years. And those are two partnerships that we're very honored to be a part of. Okay, we have curriculums and youth programs here at Akiptan. A few of our youth programs include our scholarships. So this one is open to Native American high school students who are seniors that are pursuing a degree that will help uplift the Native ag industry. It's closed for this year, but on any given year, we give anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 to high school students going into college, VOTech or vet tech studies. That'll open in January 2025. And then we have our summer youth internship program that opens in April of every year. And then we hire on from May to August. That'll be opening in 2025. And then we have our youth business plan contest. This is specific for students ages 16 to 18 who are developing a business plan. We offer cash prizes for this. This will open next year in the spring of 2025. So keep an eye out for all of these youth programs. We're very happy to support the future stewards of the native agriculture industry. All right, so another solution to one of the findings is we have these curriculums and we have some cohorts happening here pretty soon. Our financial management guide for cattle ranchers is available on our website, but also you can request a copy of this and we'll mail it out to you. And then we have our Introducing Native Agriculture, which is a guide for young entrepreneurs that want to start a native agriculture business. And this one is also available on our website. Then we have our third guide, which is our financial management guide for native agribusinesses. So this is any type of entity that is uplifting the native agri-space. So that one is coming soon. We should have that one available on our website within the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye out for these. Take advantage of using these tools to build on your operations. Couple booklets too. I mentioned the succession guide. There's the QR code. We have a nice booklet that Justine and our team created to help you to get started with this so your operations are ready to be handed off to the next generation or planned out in the same way that our ancestors did for us. So take a look at that. And then we have our rancher record keeping booklet as well to help you stay organized in your operations. Okay, couple webinars coming up for the end of the year. We have stress management in agriculture. The grass used to be greener on the other side, happening on September 26th. We'll be talking about stress management components and things that other producers have done to just keep their head above water when things are getting heavy in their operation. And then our annual general tax overview with Rob Holcomb on November 1st. That one is always well attended. Folks want to know what new is coming up and what to look out for. So join us for those two. You can scan the QR code or find the links on our website. And last but not least, actually, this is not last, but we have free financial planning information on our website, cash flow sheet templates, balance sheet templates, projection templates, business plan templates. You're welcome to utilize those as needed. Okay, this is last but not least, our newsletter. You're welcome to sign up for this to keep up with us and see all of the cool things happening here at Akiptan. Did I miss anything, guys? No? All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. Again, if there's any questions for Craig about our program or Climate Smart Practices, his phone number and his email are all in the chat, or it's on our website. So thanks so much for joining us. Y'all have a great day.